Hey guys, I'm Gary. The Lancer Evolution was Mitsubishi's rally superstar. The body style is fierce and its engine and all-wheel drive potent. It's evolved itself through 5 generations and has acquired a large fan base. This video will be on the history of the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. The Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution is one of Mitsubishi's flagship performance cars. It's based on the Lancer model, which dates back to 1973. The Lancer name was used with other models in the late 80s and early 90s for various regions where it was sold. The 4th generation Lancer introduced the first Evolution trim in 1992. The Evolution was most popular for its earlier 90s involvement in the World Rally Championships Group A class, which homologation required that a minimum of 2,500 production models needed to be built in order to qualify. Mitsubishi was using the larger Galant for rally competition in the 80s and 90s, which was successful, but decided to move to a smaller and lighter platform to be more competitive. The Lancer Evolution's capabilities not only applied to rally, they also transferred over to the street, making these cars very favorable for car enthusiasts. The first generation Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 1 appeared in 1992. It was designed specifically to compete in the World Rally Championship and Asia Pacific World Rally Championship. The last model Lancer to be involved in WRC was 10 years prior with the EX2000 Turbo. They transferred the engine and drivetrain from the larger Galant VR4 to the smaller Lancer chassis. It was sold in 2 versions, a GSR which was more of a street car, and a stripped-down RS which was more race-focused and lighter. This generation started the Evolution's trend with the turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, all-wheel drive, and 5-speed manual transmission. The limited 2,500 units sold out within 3 days, and Mitsubishi produced another 2,500 to meet demand. Their involvement in the 1993 World Rally Championship had them close to several victories. They were also involved in the Asia Pacific World Rally Championship, where most of their efforts were spent compared to the WRC. This was an accomplishment in itself since it was only the first year and they were working with a new chassis. It just needed a little more development. Slightly over a year later, the 2nd generation Lancer Evolution 2 arrived. It received development updates to the suspension and chassis from the rally experience of the Evolution 1 to make it more competitive. There wasn't much of a difference visually from the previous model, but the stability could be felt. It still used the same engine and all-wheel drive combination, but received a power increase. Mitsubishi's production experience earlier with the Evolution 1 caused them to produce 5,000 Evolution 2s, which sold out in 4 months of introduction. The Lancer Evolution 2 placed first in the 1995 WRC Swedish Rally, which provided more motivation for improvement. 1995 also introduced the Lancer Evolution 3 with a new functional look, but it's considered a 2nd generation Evolution since it still used the previous CE9A chassis. The speeds were increasing for rally stages, so many cooling, aero, and a new turbo increased power to 270 horsepower. It sold 7,000 units and was the best-selling Evolution compared to previous ones. Mitsubishi finally received its first World Rally Championship driver's title in 1996 by Tommi Mäkinen. Their efforts paid off when they also received the manufacturer's championship for the Asia Pacific Rally Championship. The 3rd generation Lancer Evolution 4 became a totally new car. It received many improvements, with the biggest one being the optional active rear differential and active yaw control, which uses sensors to distribute torque between the wheels. This was also the first introduction of a revised 4G63T engine, which was positioned 180 degrees from previous iterations for better weight distribution. The Evolution did get heavier though, but received 276 horsepower with the introduction of a new responsive twin-scroll turbocharger to compensate for the weight. This was the first model to have the large rally-inspired front fog lights. Technology, starting with this generation, was beginning to get favored more over the weight penalties. Tommi Mäkinen continued winning the World Rally Championship driver's title for 1997 and in 1998. The Mitsubishi Evolution's popularity exploded at this time. The Lancer Evolution was also featured in one of the scenes in Jackie Chan's movie, Who Am I? The 4th generation Lancer Evolution 5 received new styling and aero, which was revised for better cooling and looked more aggressive. An adjustable aluminum rear wing was also standard, as well as a larger track and 17-inch wheels to accommodate the larger brakes. There were also weight reduction components, technology improvements, and interior refinements. Power did not increase from the 276 horsepower due to the gentleman's agreement between them and other Japanese car manufacturers, but the new turbocharger did help increase torque. The Evolution 5 was created based on the new World Rally Car class rules. They were still using a production model car, while other manufacturers moved on to WRC specific chassis. Despite all the factors going against them, including the WRC specific competitors, Mitsubishi received its first WRC Manufacturers Championship in 1998, and Tommy Mäkinen won the World Rally Championship Drivers title again in 1998 and 1999. The Lancer Evolution 6 was still based on the 4th generation chassis. It can be distinguished by the smaller front fog lights and double-deck rear wing. The revisions were mainly focused on cooling, engine, durability, and stiffness. It may not have been faster than its predecessor, but the slight changes may have been felt while driving. The Evolution 6 was the last car used under the old Group A homologation requirement. WRC rules favored WRC specific cars, so this was the last we see of a production Lancer Evolution in the World Rally Championship. Tommy Mäkinen did win the driver's title for this last year, and there was a special Tommy Mäkinen edition Evolution produced in 2,000 units to celebrate his accomplishments. Most enthusiasts refer to it as the Evolution 6.5 due to the slight upgrades. The 5th generation Lancer Evolution 7 was based on the much larger Lancer Sedia. The larger size made it equivalent to the Galant, which they decided against earlier to get away from for rally purposes. The chassis received stiffening, which added 90 pounds over the Evolution 6, but there was a torque increase to help. The active center differential was introduced, and combined with the active yaw control, made the car more responsive. The Evolution, with the larger, stiffer chassis and technology, became more civilized on the road. Mitsubishi pursued the World Rally Championship with their first WRC specific Evolution 7 in 2001. They were not as successful as hoped for, and with Tommy Mäkinen leaving to drive for Subaru in 2002, the driver lineup and development of the WRC Spec Evolution was in question. The Evolution 7 was also featured in scenes of the movie Too Fast, Too Furious. The Lancer Evolution 8, based on the 5th generation chassis, was introduced in 2003. This was the first Evolution sold in the USA, which was caused by Subaru's success with their WRX a year earlier. The Evolution 8 came with a multitude of technologies which were dependent on the market being sold. The Evolution did receive praise from magazines in the USA and have the classic rivalry with the Subaru STI that also came out that year. An MR edition was offered in 2005 that included suspension tweaks, aluminum roof, BBS wheels, and 6-speed manual transmission, which allowed the engine to operate within its power band much better than the 5-speed manual. Mitsubishi decides to take a year off in 2003 from the World Rally Championship and returned in 2004, then finally pulled out for the 2006 season. The Evolution 9 was introduced thereafter, but it still used the 5th generation chassis. It shared a lot with the previous Evolution, but received styling changes to the front and rear. The introduction of Mitsubishi's MyVic variable timing control system was implemented on the intake side of the engine, which increased power and torque. Standard Evolution 9 models received the Bilstein shocks, a new 5-speed with closer gear ratio, and new lighter inky wheels. A 5,500 RPM launch control feature was also introduced to protect the drivetrain. An MR version was also offered, and a special wagon version was sold outside the USA in a limited number of 2,500. The 6th generation Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 10 appeared in 2007. It used a new chassis but was larger, heavier, more refined, and lost the responsiveness of previous generations. It also received a new aluminum engine called the 4B11, and the transmission options were a 5-speed manual and a 6-speed twin-clutch Sportronic shift transmission. It also received a new super all-wheel control system used for traction control. With no more rally involvement to draw interest, this newer generation losing its performance edge, high costs, and decreasing sales, the Evolution met its end in 2015 with a special Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 10 Final Edition produced as a farewell to the Evolution series of the Lancer. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the history of the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. It was Mitsubishi's best all-wheel drive offering, and it's unfortunate that it's been discontinued. I've always admired it from its rally days and its capabilities on the street. Mitsubishi seems to be moving in a different direction now, so we may see another Evolution, but in a different form. Like and subscribe for future videos, and check out my other history videos. I'll see you in the next one.